Hello, everybody, and welcome to the We3Kingz Podcast. I'm your host, Pharaoh, and to my right, we have Tamel.
What's up?
Straight ahead, we have Steven.
You know how I get down.
And to my left, we have Brianna, returning for the second episode. Okay, this next one, we're going to have a more serious topic, I'd say. And you can add on to it, but essentially what we had talked about when we were talking was just entertainment romanticizing dysfunctional relationships, or just bad, like media romanticizing bad things happening.
Yes, sir. All right, so to sum up his big words, we're pretty much talking about reality versus Hollywood. Does Hollywood glorify toxic stuff or whatever the situation is, or is it just an hyperbole of reality? So, who wants to go first? I guess I go first. All right, so the topic that kind of brought up the idea for the podcast was Tamel asked me about, what's the shit where you see nothing but naked people?
Porn?
No. It's a TV show.
Euphoria?
Huh? Yeah, Euphoria.
I don't remember asking.
His face.
He asked me, does Euphoria glorify like toxic relationships or some shit like that? So, what do you think? The person who asked me the fucking question.
Bro, this is like weeks ago. I'll say, I won't say they, now that I actually went back and watched a few episodes, I wouldn't say that they glorify it, but I definitely would say that there is a certain appeal to it. Mm-hmm. And it's not just something that Euphoria does. It's kind of something that a lot of popular hit TV shows do, especially within that first season. They try to, I guess, sexualize the characters to bring in more views and content and interest into it, and it kind of dials back, because even looking back into the past, a couple of hit TV shows, like I know Riverdale was one of them, Vampire Diaries, stuff like that. So I won't say they like enforce it, but it does bring attention to it does shed light and attention to what actually goes on in the back of individuals' minds, especially people that it's kind of set for around that age, and shed light on that. So, I mean, yeah.
All right.
I mean, as far as Euphoria goes, I'm kind of in a similar boat with Tamel. I don't think it glorifies it. If anything, they're just putting stuff out there just to capture the audience's attention.
Mm-hmm.
I've personally never seen Euphoria.
I mean, Euphoria is just an example. We can trust me.
Vampire Diaries, definitely some toxic ass shit. Very toxic, but it's interesting to watch. It keeps your attention. That's probably why they do it.
So, do you think they glorify it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't think that Hollywood glorifies most things, honestly, but I do think there is some sense of exaggeration to the truth. One of the best examples I can think of is a TV show I used to grow up watching is Degrassi. Degrassi, if you've never seen it,
R.I.P. Drake's legs.
R.I.P. my nigga JT. That's the first time I ever I cried over a kid, but
I laughed.
Wait,
you need therapy. But anyway, so Degrassi is pretty much the worst thing that can happen to a group of people happening to all of them. Like the worst things you could probably think of to like a teenager happening to them. There's a lot of SA. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of drug abuse. There's a lot of stuff that's painted. And this is back in like, I want to say like early 2000s. So
well, to be honest, the early 2000 ones, it felt more of like a PSA type. I feel like it gotten they got more dramatic as the series went on.
Yeah, and even the Noah version that would have reflected us, it just kind of reflected back on the society that it wasn't at the time. Because I'll give an example. There was older Degrassi. It was the girl had.
Which year? We can just say years.
I don't remember.
Talking about Liberty?
I think it's Next Generations. I think it was called
Next Generation. I mean,
back when Drake was Aubrey, right?
Oh, yeah, that's like that's
back then with like JT and all of them. Mm-hmm. So the first group. Yeah, the girl ended up getting pregnant, right? And so she ended up keeping the baby and then dealing with the stresses of being a teen mom in high school and so forth and so on, right?
Oh yeah.
And then the Next Generations, I'm just gonna call it that. The Noah version, like on Netflix, the same scenario, right? The girl got pregnant, but instead of dealing with the pregnancy, she ended up having an abortion. She dealt, because she was like a track star and all that other stuff, right? So she dealt with the consequences, quote unquote, of having an abortion, and then people knowing about it and so on and so on. So it was a good way to have the same scene, but different reaction, different results to show different like consequences of your actions. And I think a good thing, quote unquote, good way that Degrassi showed was these are people's lives. Not everyone has this beautiful life or lives a good childhood. So I think it's good to shed light to people who are a little bit more privileged and live in this little bubble that people's lives suck. And some people's lives just suck and some people go through things. Now, do I think in stuff like Euphoria or 13 Reasons Why could trauma be exaggerated a bit? Yes, it is Hollywood, so they still need to grab your attention, right? But I don't think they're glorifying it. They're shedding light on things that people truly do romanticize. People romanticize trauma because usually people who don't live through it, the same way a lot of people, I don't say romanticize, but they glorify mental health because it's quote unquote popular to have mental health issues, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my personal opinion on it. But also, I want to ask y'all something that's not as serious because it's not just like the serious and like detrimental stuff that we need to talk about in terms of Hollywood. What do y'all think about stuff like, what is it? Like hospital stuff. Like, give me a name. I can't think of that.
Grey's Anatomy.
Like Grey's Anatomy, like Grey's General Hospital, stuff like that that shows our service people in action. How do you think that affects like individuals, like in their actions and how they perceive our service workers, essentially, like our cops, our firefighters, and stuff like that?
It makes those jobs seem like they're, I wouldn't say cooler, but it seems like there's more going on to them jobs than they usually do. Like not every day is like that for people in that position.
I definitely think it can be useful as long as it's done in a correct manner, because you want to be careful when you televise certain things like that, because you also want to be accurate, because you don't want to end up putting the wrong information out there, because there's always a possibility of someone seeing that on TV and then acting that out. So I think it's really important for people to understand that there is a gray area when it comes to stuff like that. But I also see it in a positive way to inform people that you don't see this, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So let me give you a little piece of that. And because of that, in some ways, it can probably have the viewer respect those who are in that, especially if you know someone or have a family member and that's what they do and they talk about it, but you kind of now have a visual understanding of what they go through in that process versus just saying it.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the dangers of what's being shown, because I know, because I listen to a lot of crime podcasts. Well, it's just something to listen to them at work, right? So one thing they kept bringing up was that firefighters had to petition for Hollywood to stop showing people going back into burning buildings, because, you know, your child's in there, your dog, whatever reason that you need to go back in the house, you're like, oh, I need to go back and save my child, right? And they come out fine, more or less. They had the petition that people would do that. And the actuality is, you go back in that house, you're probably not coming back out, and unless it's in a body bag, because you have to deal with the fire,
smoke.
like natural smoke, breathing, all the dangers of stuff like that. So going back in is never. Most firefighters don't even, once they come out, they're out for the, like, more often than not, they're out, because you don't go back in and they lose this firefighter, and then they lost someone trained to fight fires. And I won't say the life lost is more important than the life lost in there, but the danger of it is not. So there's that. So Brie, you work in a hospital, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, you know.
Something like that. Something like that.
Something where people go to die, right?
Well,
so
dang.
it's not murder view, so you be all right.
It's not.
So, but you also watch stuff like Grey's Anatomy and General Hospital and stuff like that, right?
Oh, of course, of course.
So, do you think I can do a tracheotomy?
Hell no.
All right. All right, so how accurate, from your experience, are those type of shows?
So they have some accuracy, like when it comes to like certain procedures, like sterilizing and stuff like that. But that shit doesn't happen in real life. Like, personally, my floor is actually really boring. Because I deal with cancer patients. So there's nothing really exciting like the shows or anything like that. But it's usually that it's not like the hospital. Unless you're in the emergency department.
Isn't like House like that? They got cancer patients in House, that show?
Kinda, yeah. Kinda.
Okay.
But it's not like House at all.
Gotcha.
It's very dramatized to get the attention or whatever. But like a day-to-day basis, day-to-day basis, it's quiet. Helping people. That's it.
I think not even just that, like, so the lives that RNs and doctors live on TV shows, you know. You know what I'm saying, you know, the stuff they be doing, you know, this type of shit, right? No, but for real, the stuff that they be doing, like, whether or not, you know, fraternization and, you know, fucking each other, or, like, sleeping in, like, break rooms, is that, like, an accurate representation of?
The sleeping in break rooms is actually a thing. I've definitely fallen asleep at work, I ain't gonna lie. There's a break room downstairs for, like, the surgeons. They have, like, a special sleep room. So that is actually, like, a thing. And then we have a relaxation room on the 4th floor, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think for, at least in Japan, I saw a video where the firefighters would, like, sleep in their place too, so.
Yeah, that's actually true. But
I know at my job, we have a fire department in case of, like, fires. Because sometimes they work 24-hour shifts, right? You know, some fire departments. So most of their day is chilling and relaxing, preparing in case something happens, but they're chilling and relaxing. So, from my experience watching the stuff, I was like, yeah, this is pretty accurate. But you know, when it's time to go, time to get busy. Mm-hmm. So, other than Bree, do we work any jobs that you see on TV? I don't really see.
Not really.
Because I do welding. Most you see is like construction workers, and trust me, they be hollering at them girls. I tell you that's for sure. They don't be saying crazy stuff like they be saying, but yeah, they definitely talking to them girls. But I think it's important for us as individuals to be able to look at something, but like with some type of nuance, right? Because, for example, SVU, like Law and Order SVU, that stuff seemed like it happened back to back to back. Stuff like cases and stuff takes months to happen,
even years.
A murder charge can take years, and then a death penalty that can take decades because you have to be sure.
Yep.
Because, you know, there's a life we're talking about. And any small thing, prosecution-wise, that goes wrong, they can be acquitted. You can never, or charge not, you know, they can't go through it again. So I think it's important to realize what you're watching is exaggerated a little bit and to research your stuff. I think everybody should be CPR qualified. But to be able to do it properly, if you don't do it right, you can hurt somebody.
You can kill somebody if you do it.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's a very simple thing to learn how to do. Especially if you have kids or you're around kids, you should definitely learn CPR. Because how I would do CPR on Ezra is a little different than how I do it on an adult, right? Not too different. Just how much. It's really just how much
Pressure.
Yeah. But I'm like, so when we're speaking on exaggerations, right? Do you think that they should put a disclaimer that it is exaggerated, or do you think people should just be able to know?
It just depends on the show. I don't think you need to put a disclaimer. I mean, some shows will put disclaimer even if it's like real life. Some movies will put disclaimer even if it's fantasy. So I guess it just depends on to the studio. I feel like it depends on, can this be linked to us, and if so, if it is, we're gonna put disclaimer. If not, we just let it ride.
I piggyback on him, but I would say both, simply for legal purposes and just for the audience itself, because you don't know who's watching. I mean, how many of us have probably watched something that was rated that we weren't supposed to really watch? So with that being said, I think doing both for that extra shield of protection would be important for everybody all around.
I think it's a good thing that we should probably bring up is based on a true story does not mean all these events happen the way that you see them on TV. Some things are exaggerated, names are changed to help
Preserve innocence.
or protect, or for privacy reasons. There's based on a true story does not mean that everything that you see happened. So I understand that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier with the thing. They'll have a whole long ass thing that says this is a work of fiction. Anything else is coincidental.
Yeah, usually in the beginning, that's more of like TV shows, but like in a movie, it'll stay in the beginning based on a true story. I mean, there's some things that probably is the foundation for this movie, and they had to exaggerate these other stuff to
fill in the gaps.
Because let's be honest, day-to-day life is boring. And if your life is entertaining, then
That's off to you.
good on you. Or I'm sorry, because there's really no in between.
The whole life is Euphoria episode. Euphoria season.
I've never seen. I've seen clips of Euphoria, and every time I seen Euphoria, it was something that I wouldn't have seen. I wouldn't have seen. Yeah, exactly.
It's more slow paced. I've seen the whole series. It builds.
Yeah, but I think and also as adults, as peers, as friends, we have to watch out for each other and research your information, because I think one of the worst things that can happen, especially with crime shows, is that people start getting this false sense of safety or start getting this idea of how certain things happen. For example, kidnappings. We always hear about kidnappings that happen on TV. Little girls go missing, little boys go missing, whatever. Abductions. Stuff like that does not, statistically speaking, stuff like that does not happen by strangers. Generally, it's somebody that you know that has taken your kid or whatever. It's usually the parent or someone really close to the family. But you see on TV, you're like, oh, this strange dude sitting in the park snatching my child up. Possible, statistically speaking, unlikely. So whenever you start looking, cops start looking, and they start at the family first. They start with the mom, dad. All right, rule them out. They start branching off. All right, now we got family out of the way. Now let's engage the possibility that someone just took the child, right? So, and that's even with assault situations. You're more likely to be assaulted by someone you know, someone you don't. So I bring that up because it's good for us as adults, especially those of us with kids, to be able to tell each other the truth, because what we see on TV is not always what happened in real life. And if you have a TV perception of things, you have a hard understanding of being able to accept the reality. Like, I don't think you all will do anything to Ezra, but I will never say I'm 100% sure they won't, because you never know what somebody would do. I don't think I'll do it. Like I said, I'm not saying, let's get out of the way. I'm not like, yeah, I'll do it. I trust y'all. So if I like, hey, can y'all keep Ezra for X amount of time? Cool. Right? But my point is, people have a hard time accepting reality, because the reality can be worse than fiction. People are cruel. People are dark. People can do the most disgusting things to each other. And sometimes a story can't tell it. So that's just my little snippet for that right there.
Well, I mean, you touched on true crime. Do you think that's the same thing? Like they had the Jeffrey Dahmer thing on Netflix, the dramatized version. It's not even like a.
So I'll say this with that, since I didn't watch that version because I didn't really care, right? Because I already knew Jeffrey Dahmer. We already knew everything. Not everything, but we knew. I think when you start looking at stuff like that, right, you have to look at a pattern. Because this is not the first Jeffrey Dahmer documentary. They've actually had a documentary with with him. They asked them questions and such. Mm-hmm. So I started asking myself, what are they portraying out into the world? Like You is a good example. No one would think that this is a good show if he was unattractive. He is. If you've never seen You, it's about this dude that pretty much, how do I say this, gets rid of a girl he's obsessing over, gets rid of her problems. So things that, he kills a lot of people, right, in the name of love, stuff like that, right? And 365. Someone explained, like, I've never seen it. I just knew it was about like a dude that has this girl, and I didn't. What is that? He kidnaps a girl.
365 is about a dude who he has a near-death experience, and he sees this chick, so he tries to find her. Once he finds her, he kidnaps her and says, "You have a year to fall in love with me, or I'll let you go."
I feel like that is a crazy statement to make.
Basically,
right?
Absurd.
Yeah.
And then they fall in love, and the rest is history.
So
the movie sucks, but
That was a movie.
There was a movie.
there's 3 movies.
3 movies.
3 movies. They're all on Netflix.
Some people got too much money, man.
Hey, that's how. Hey, for there to
And they're
be
not
3,
all in English either.
if there was,
doing Netflix
I'm
movies.
about to say if there was 3 movies, that means enough people watch it for there to make 3 movies.
It's the sex scenes out of it. That's why.
Sex sells. Let's be honest with it.
Like
People, and I think it's important to realize that people live vicariously through characters. That's why, especially Black people preach so much about people of color, indigenous people preach so much about representation in TV, movies, the media, whatever, politics, because people want to see themselves in those positions, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, there's a little girl, little boy, whatever, that look just like me. If he can do it, why can't I?
Yep.
Now, with that being said, when it comes to stuff like True Crime and 365, like, oh, that's an attractive man. If he, stuff like that.
Not, I mean, there are cases of people, like falling in love with killers and shit, past and present.
Mm-hmm. So I think you also have to look at the people who are saying it, because I'm not talking to him, okay, can't be saying it by himself. Did you see that story about he's kind of like the little white dude, right? He was driving way too fucking fast and hit this family and killed like a mom and her kids or something like that.
Yeah.
You probably seen that through like Advent Preach or something like that. More than likely.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was a whole bunch of girls were like, give him a second chance. He ain't do it and all that shit. And you know why?
He was attractive.
He was okay. Now I know a cute man when I see one. Pals. But he was
I don't
like,
really know the story. I was just saying.
he was like young girl attractive. He was a young man. He was like 18, 20. He was like 20, 21. He looked like he could be in he looked like he could be
he can be in like a boy band.
like like a Nickelodeon boy band. He looked like he belonged on Winter Action.
Big Time Rush or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So when I see stuff like that, I look at who is saying this. If it's kids, kids say stupid stuff. Kids don't know no better, right? But then I start seeing adults start praising Jeffrey Dahmer, and that also goes to show that it's a good thing and a bad thing. Because remember, growing up, all of our child predators, all of our R-worders, all of our like assaulters were unattractive people. Like, ugh. Of course, he looked like he'll do something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever you see, he looked like a insert, right? Mm-hmm. But then now you see people like Jeffrey Dahmer. You see people like, who the fuck does Zac Efron play?
I don't know. There was some Spanish dude.
Serial killer. Ooh, what's his name? Him. Well, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Not Jeffrey Dahmer, but it's another Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
So
Yeah,
you start seeing those attractive people, like, huh? maybe the person that I thought would do something like this might look a little bit more like somebody that I wouldn't think do something like this. Mm-hmm. You'll never know what's in somebody's heart, truly. Like, so there's no looking at someone unless they got crazy eyebrows. Eyebrows to tell it all. But unless they look like somebody, like, you can't say that. You can't be like, oh, he looked like he be the type of dude. Mm-hmm. The whole time he could be a big fluffy teddy bear. Stereotypes. I think Hollywood helps set and break stereotypes.
Yep.
All right, so I do have a question. That way we kind of like keep the show going a little bit. Are there any examples that you've seen, whether it's something serious or something lighthearted, right, in TV shows that you know personally, like, yeah, that's not right, but it's funny?
Like I mean, it could be anything.
It can be anything. Okay, would you something simple as this? Remember when Aang and Zuko are fighting each other, mm-hmm. and they take their like the wind and the fire and boom, and there's a big explosion. Yeah, that should be the end of the show right there. In real life, that something explode right in front of your face. You know, there's a good chance that you knocking on the other side.
No.
You know, so it can be something as simple as that, or something as serious as like, you know, Euphoria.
Shoot,
do y'all need another example? What y'all think?
I mean, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Simple.
All right, so I think it's important for. Okay, I'll do it like this. Parents need to be aware of telling their children what is real and what's not. Superman can jump off of a building and land on his feet. You can't, baby. Because you're just a mere mortal. All right? So it's... Especially, I don't know how a lot of cartoons are now, because we grew up on, like, Looney Tunes, where you run, and you don't stop running until you look down. Mm-hmm. Heart pumping out your chest. Anvil falling, and you flat. Yeah, you get hit with anvil. But so stuff like that, as lighthearted as it is, it's still important because children are they're like sponges. They absorb what they see. That's why it's good to monitor what your child watches, especially as they get older and they can start doing some of these things. But growing up, me and my brother and my cousins, why? Don't ask why. We used to jump off of my grandmother's house.
Okay.
I mean, where did you get the idea from?
That's different.
I don't know, because we were boys and, you know, boys do stupid stuff.
They like
I don't know
jump
about
off
all
of
that.
shit.
If you've ever been in my grandma's house, the house is not that high up.
It's not.
It's like jumping out of a second story window.
If
High
that,
enough.
If that.
Yeah, it's not that far of a jump. It's still but you know, it's still you're still jumping off a house onto the ground, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that. So it's stuff as simple as that. We might not think about it as adults because, you know, we're just watching it, but kids, that's also important. Is stuff what they see because they start imitating what they see and start thinking, oh, okay, well maybe
I can do that too.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling was notorious for that.
I think one for me would be in movies where they try to, when they capture you and they knock you out by hitting you in the back of the head with the butt of the gun. Yeah, that's not always a guaranteed knockout. You can actually just straight up kill them. So
yeah, or getting hit with a beer bottle. That's not gonna break.
Yeah, that's not
you're just gonna kill. You might kill the person.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you take something like a chloroform and do that, like, you know, smash their face, they might not pass out immediately.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Or like
it takes a minute.
Yeah, or the quick like neck snap and like action movies or something.
You know, you know how strong you have to be for you to actually have that happen. Mm-hmm. And how, so, you know, now I got the ball ready. We got little ideas.
Yeah.
What?
You got anything like examples?
I said my example.
Outside of nursing?
She said nursing, that's my thing. I'm going to keep it in.
Hey, keep it simple. You don't watch that, they be like, yeah, that's not right. I got one that's not real. I was going to say that. Women fall in love with a good man.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. They're not finna leave the Well, you know, every time around Christmas, when they're dating the
Like the thug or whatever.
I've
seen.
We talking about Christmas movies, like on Lifetime.
Christmas movie.
You watching BET stuff?
Hallmark channel.
You talking about Friday? Nah, we talking about Hallmark.
Go ahead.
We talking about the white girl from Full House when she started everything. Her,
Yeah.
that you know when
Or high school.
they got the CEOs, talking about the
Single
latest-
mom with 2 kids.
You got the CEO, you know, trying to date the town, like the belle of the thing, and then you got, she fall for him. Then all of a sudden, the childhood friend, like the little baker, come back.
He goes there for no apparent reason.
He just there for
Whatever.
to
reason.
exist,
Just so happens that she's single and the dad not around.
but still talking to the CEO. I'm like, you're cheating. You know that, right?
She's like the only pretty girl with a population of like 50.
Yeah, I'm like, well, it ain't no other
Or
pretty
just
girl.
be like, oh, I'm an average girl or something. Like,
Oh, I'm average and then look like Rihanna. I said, well, damn. Hey, the dudes be doing the same thing. I'm not that good looking, and then look like, I don't know, Jasmine Boswick.
I grew up in a home with like
You
12 other
fucked that all
siblings. Started my business with
I don't
my
know,
dad.
handsome black man. No, that's a lie. What's his name? Tyrese Gibson? No, that's definitely a basketball player. What's his name? From The Wood, the bald head.
Tyrese.
Yeah.
That's a handsome black man right there.
an R&B artist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said what?
The R&B
She said
artist.
Tyrese, R&B artist.
No.
he's a singer?
No, is it him? No. He was on All American. The bald dude. The bald.
Oh,
Tay did.
There's a lot of bald niggas in that goddamn show now. Think about
There's
it.
a lot of bald people in there. Morris Chestnut.
Lord. I'm sorry. That's just my fault. Hey, I don't look good and look like that. But shut up. My thing is good to, if you don't get anything out of this episode, get this. Do your due diligence and research if you need to. If it's something serious like police work and like crime shows, not cops, no, it's police work.
Health matters.
Yeah, do your due diligence, because just because you've seen Grey's Anatomy don't mean you can cut open someone's neck. Just because you watch Law and Order don't mean you can be a detective and go find the next Jeffrey Dahmer. All right, relax. Just because you've seen, oh man, that's a lot of cop shows. Jesus Christ!
Especially in relationships with other people.
What?
Huh?
You need to go to therapy.
No, I don't need to go to therapy.
This is
You know what
brought
I'm
to you
talking
by
about?
BetterHelp.
People who
No,
be
we're
watching
not.
like people who be watching Criminal Minds and Law and Order, and suddenly they know how to dissect you.
Dissect. Like,
Are you talking about
yeah,
pulling off like the perfect murder because you watch all the murder shows?
No, I'm talking about the people who be watching like Law and Order, Criminal Minds and stuff, and suddenly they're a psychologist.
Yeah,
and they know how
psychiatrist.
to-
All of a sudden,
Diagnose you and shit?
diagnose you and
Yeah.
stuff. You're like,
Dissect you.
maybe you like this because your dad used to beat him. No, I just don't trust people.
God forbid, they be like, you're like that because you're an Aquarius. Oh my
Ain't
God.
talking about
even
no. I'm done.
Nah, you act like that because you're a Pisces. No, he act like that because he's a piece of shit. Like, leave him alone. That's what Jesus Christ. Nah, I just, when I say do your due diligence, don't go to Dr. Google and think all of a sudden you know more than your psychiatrist or your doctor or anybody the fuck else in that given field.
Fuck TikTok.
If you
Especially TikTok.
Please don't get your medical advice from anybody on TikTok.
Hell no.
And remember what your parents told you. Just because it's online, don't make it true. So, just like conspiracy theorists be like, hey, just because it's online, don't mean it happened that way. Just because you see it online, don't make the facts. If it can't be proven at like, 3 sources? I don't know. I ain't been in school in like
4.
18 years.
It's
So,
like 4 sources. Maybe 5.
if you can't find that same information 4 times, it's probably not the truth. I think. I don't know. I haven't wrote a book report in like 25 years.
What?
Nick.
What?
Okay.
See, hey, stop the N word.
I stopped.
I don't like that. You don't want to see me angry.
Shit.
do you want to talk about the N-word? How we feel about it? Or we just not gonna do that?
Shit, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Hey, fuck it. Part 2. How y'all feel about it? How do y'all feel about the N-word? Okay, you mean like the N-word or like certain people using the word?
Or like
so what do you mean, like the actual word or just like?
I know he's saying like either ERA. I'm talking. Yeah, I mean just anybody.
ERA.
Like how you feel about people using it in general?
The ERA. That's like a fire error, my dumb ass. ERA.
I wouldn't know how to feel if someone actually said like, whoa.
Okay, so here's what I said. I can't judge you for using it because I use it. I don't get shit.
We're all black here on the podcast.
Oh yeah, that'd probably be a good. Yeah, that's a good. Some of us more black than others.
See.
That's
But is there more? Yeah, see, we can talk.
I mean, you're right. Some of us is more black than others.
I'm gonna change your name.
Don't forget.
A lot of colorism. A lot of
Since he wants to talk, the most black in terms of complexion is the one with the keys to take the less black home. So remember that.
I mean, I'm surprised he's able to drive.
Hey, Harriet taught me how to read directions very well.
You didn't make it that far, did you?
You see, we talking, ain't we? You'd be lucky I had to let your ass tag along.
Oh, I'm sorry, Massa.
Nah, but for real, if I use it, I can't judge someone to a standard that I'm not gonna uphold. So now that being said, if you say it in a way that made me feel like you trying to be racist, I'm gonna look at you like, looking at them teeth over there.
I ain't gonna mention what, but I'm so glad we got more of you know. You know exactly.
His friend called me a push monkey.
That's ridiculous.
That's what you were talking about, wasn't you?
No, I'm talking about.
Oh shit! He said,
remember?
He's talking about a little boy.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like we gotta use more than just the little boy. So we were at. This is how you tell the story. So we're at a vacation Bible school, right?
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, and we're like one of the counselors. Mind you, neither one of us like devout Christians, so we really just there because our homegirl there. So because she go to church.
You one of those.
Hey, to preface,
I was there for support.
Okay.
I didn't even talk to the girl when I was there. Like I was actually doing my job. Okay, so I was more of a counselor than like the Jesus aspect, and I don't know what it is. I think I'm just good with children. Okay, I don't know. That. I'm a natural paternity figure. Anyway, so we're sitting there. We're doing like the dance routine for the show that's at the end of the week, right? So I'm showing them whatever I'm showing them. So I'm dancing, right? And this little boy is in the front. He was like, he's white, but he's not like white. He's probably like a mix of like something Asian and like white. So
okay. So
he was like, he said these famous words. Dance, monkey, dance. I said, Now like, so I'm like, you should sound like, I know what it sounds like isn't what he meant. Cause I know he probably doesn't, he's not thinking about that. He's monkey see, monkey do. So I told him not to say that, right? Cause that, it can be a little offensive to certain genre of people. Genre? That sounds incorrect.
Race.
it's not at all. Yeah.
Certain group of people. Community, race, ethnic group. Take your
genre.
pick.
Certain category of folks.
Just say community.
Why are you approaching it in such like a?
He trying to sound like an honor graduate.
Yeah, like. Just.
Hey, I remembered. If y'all ain't know, they graduated with honors. I'm trying to sound above my GPA, so I'm trying to talk above my GPA type stuff.
We ain't in school no more.
Plus, this is a U.S. system. They don't. It's whatever.
Honors ain't really honors outside of the U.S. But that's a whole other topic.
We're talking about honors, not really honors, but I'm the only one who ain't make the honors. So what's that say about me?
You just an average.
You didn't care. I ain't gonna say that.
That part.
Yeah, you didn't care.
You just didn't care. You smart. You know you smart.
I mean,
you just didn't give a fuck.
Only thing that's not average is this gas that ain't finna take your ass home.
I thought you was about to say something.
Yeah, you gotta.
I gave you a compliment. So
everybody else going home but him. You might want to. All right, but yeah. So I talked to him. Then the pastor was like, apologize. I'm like, it's not that serious. So I'm like, So I think me personally, N-word, I don't really care too much about it. Plus, I know where it originated from. They didn't just come up with the word. It originates from all this other stuff that means other things, and they perverted it like we always do. And it is what it is.
Yeah, just kind of in the same vein. I feel like for Steven, like if you don't have no bad intentions to it, why am I gonna give you the power?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It just really never bothered me. I've been called something else, but I've never had that issue before.
We're probably gonna have to talk about the Alf podcast because we'll probably get demonetized.
How about you? So we can wrap this up.
I say it too much to even care. As long as you're not being racist, I don't care.
I'll say this though. Either you call me the N-word, then call me boy. Something about boy. Something about boy.
Boy is demeaning.
Something about boy you make me want to punch you in your jaw.
That's instinct. Some just cling.
Hold on. Because I can't change my complexion. But I'm not a boy no more. I like to say I'm a nice young. I don't know about young, but I'm a man. You
Handsome
know?
black man.
That's only happened to me one time. And that was walking. I remember when I was with my dad walking out of Payless. Old dude. Just was like, watch where you going.
All right. But that was a nice little segment right there. Do y'all have anything left to say? All right, that sounds like a no to me. All right, It's the We